Yes, guys, I'm sorry. Welcome to Cardiff City World. Here for the Stoke City. This is Cardiff City Preview. Apologies for being a little bit late. Being the clever guy that I am, I forgot that I had done a podcast in the studio this morning. So I had all my kit it was all packed away. So I wasn't, my setup at home wasn't ready. So I say apologies. I'm on my phone at the moment, just while my computer's all playing catch up because it's slow. But look, I will switch over to it as soon as I possibly can. So bear with me just for the time being. If you've got any questions and stuff, you drop them all in the comments and that, and I'll get to them at the end of the show. I know the signal's a bit terrible at the moment, but I'm on my phone. Bear with me. I am waiting for my computer to catch up. As soon as it catches up, I'll switch over to the normal system. But in the meantime, get your questions in and stuff for the end of the preview. I won't start going into the details of the preview and everything until I've switched over to my computer, which I'm just about to do. So give it a share and a retweet and all that stuff. And we'll wait for some of the latecomers. I will give it a retweet and stuff myself now once I get onto my computer. Here we go. Apologies. It's been one of them days today. If you didn't catch it earlier, we dropped the first of our 12-day Christmas countdown, which is basically, effectively, it's like a story or a little mini show each day. So today we dropped number 12, which was Terry Phillips talking about Len Davis. Len Davis played 12 seasons on the banks for Cardiff City, a true legend of Cardiff City, and Terry was the perfect person to talk about that. He's obviously the club's official historian, so he was able to go into a lot of detail. Tomorrow is number 11. That'll drop in the morning before the game. That one is me talking about one of my favourite wingers that played for the club. So, and each one is different. And then as they go on, there's certain numbers which are a bit longer than others. They a couple of them features and former players and stuff as well, and all the different people that you see on the channel. From myself to Matt, Rhys, Pan, Terry, Rob, who else is on there? Jamie, Martin. Excuse me, there's a whole section, but my computer is finally catching up. But just give me 2 seconds, I'll be with you soon. I apologise profusely, and then I'll get that the FAB statement as well. And then what we'll do is we'll do the preview, and then the last 5-10 minutes of the half hour or so, I will do questions and I'll talk about the FAB statement and stuff like that. But ultimately, it's difficult because I don't want to go over the same ground all the time. So it's trying to pick out the bits and the way to talk about it in the right way. I also don't want to be like this toxic, negative channel where we just moaning all the time. But equally, I will not ever shy away from talking about subjects and things, just whether that's for the betterment of us as a channel or for me personally. It is what it is. I'm always going to be honest because I care about Cardiff City first and foremost. I want the club to thrive. I want the club to do well on and off the pitch. So if I see things that's harming the football club, then I'm going to say it. And I'm going to give my opinion. Just like you guys have got an opinion, I've got an opinion, and my opinion might be different to Rob's or Matt's or Pan's or whatever. We all have our own personal opinions, and as long as they're both in the way, then I don't see an issue with that. Despite some people will always take issues with, particularly with people seem to take certain people seem to take issue with me having an opinion of my own. But there we go. It is what it is, isn't it? It's a big game tomorrow. Stoke are not in good form, but as we know from recent games, when teams come up against Cardiff and they're not in form, it's like that's where they rediscover their form. That's where they kickstart their season, is playing against us. We haven't won an away game all season. Will Omar Rhys make changes? I think that's the big question. For me, I personally think he makes 3 or 4 changes. But I think you can make an argument for more. I'm going to switch over now. So if you see two of me, do not fear. So
disappeared straight away. There we go. That's better. Right. The audio and everything should be better now and fixed. I'm just going to double check that there's no that we're all live and everything. Right. Let's get into the preview. And as I say, Stoke City not in the best of form. So there should, like, usually you'd be looking at it and you think, well, there's an opportunity there for Cardiff to get their first away victory. You know, why wouldn't you? Stoke are not in great form. They're serial underachievers in the Championship. So surely it's a game that as a club we should be targeting 3 points. But we've just been so bad recently that you just can't be confident that we're capable of doing it. Yes, look, if you take out that most recent game, Wednesday night, which was awful, were we better against Coventry? Yes, we were. But we weren't particularly good. I think, were quite blunt. We didn't really create a lot of chances. I think there was still issues there. It was just the mentality and the attitude of the players was better against Coventry than it had been against QPR. Will that be the same tomorrow? As I speculated yesterday, do we see Omar Rhys go with the same 11 that played Wednesday and give those players the opportunity to put right what they did Wednesday? Personally, I think that's a mistake. But we've seen managers time and time again do that. Cardiff and other clubs where a team underperforms or puts in a stinking performance. The next game is the same 11 and you give those players that chance. Me personally, I wouldn't do that. I think he needs to make at least 3 changes for me. And actually, the changes I would make would probably all be in the back four. I was speaking to a friend of mine earlier, and he thinks that he would drop the whole back four, the keeper, probably bring in one of the another midfielder and stuff like that, and give the youngsters a go. Change the system, give the youngsters a go. I understand that thought process. I really do. I've been banging a drum for a change of system to 3 at the back since the summer. I think it suits the players and the squad we've got. But I don't see it happening at the moment while we're in a bad spell. I'd be surprised if I'm honest. But, I'm not in charge, so that doesn't mean that it won't happen. Let's talk about Stoke first. Stoke is a bit interesting because they generally play with a 4-4-2, which is a bit of a throwback to when I was younger. You don't see it a lot. You see a lot of teams have a 4-4-2 in their pressing shape, including Cardiff. They tend to press in a 4-4-2. But Stoke do tend to line up in a 4-4-2 as a formation. They haven't been in the best of form. Most recently, they lost to Luton 2-1. But it would also be a mistake to think that Stoke don't have some excellent players within their team. They might not be in form, but I think on paper they have got some real footballers. And Cardiff will need to be at it. We ain't gonna go there and play as badly as we have done at certain points recently, and think we're going to get anything out of this game. You've got the pace of Kumas and Junho on the wings. You've got the cleverness of Seiko and Berger in the middle of midfield. And then you've got Cannon, who's an experienced goal scorer, and Manhoif. I think they line up, 4-4-2, as I say. Johansson will be in goal. They'll go Wilmot as right back, Bocat left back, Phillips and Rose. And then it'll be, Kumas on the right, Juanjo on the left, Berger, Seiko, Manhoif and Cannon would be my guess. Possibly you could bring in Gooch or Moran on the wide areas, or you could even bring in Tezgel into the midfield is also possible. For me, I think it'll be that 11 that I just mentioned. But again, you've got to take into account injuries and things like that. In terms of how they can get us, I really like by Hyun Ho. I think he's a real clever left winger. He links up the play real nice, but he's also capable of beating a man. His delivery and crossing is really good. He normally plays off the left and Kumas off the right. If I was the Stoke manager, I would start with Hyun Ho on the left. And if there's not really creating too many chances, I'd get Kumas out on the left one-on-one with versus Perry NG, because I think we can all agree that Perry NG hasn't been in the greatest of form in the last 12 months. It looked at one point at the start of the season when Omar Riza sort of first took over, where it looked like he was starting to get back towards his best. But he has been at fault for several goals recently. So with both teams desperately looking for 3 points and to halt a both teams on 6-game winless streaks, both teams need the win. So if you're asking me, how Stoke could get at us, is in our right back area. Assuming that NG is going to start, I would start with Ho, and then I'd move Kumas out there as well, and I'd try and double up on Perry NG, because ultimately, whoever's playing on the right wing for Cardiff, wingers, even the hardest working wingers, will always leave a space and always leave the fullback isolated at some point. Perry NG's got a bit of a habit of wandering out of position, losing his man, forgetting what's over his shoulder. So that's the area. And Lewis Kumas is pacey, he's direct, skillful, still young, still learning the game, but he's a very, very capable footballer. And if you give him space to run at you, you're in danger. And if he is able to get over on that left-hand side and isolate himself against Perry NG, you would fancy him. My key man, though, for Stoke is Tom Cannon. He's experienced. I think he's a real clever player, decent finisher. And he tends to be the guy who gets the goals. He's only 21 years old, but for me, he's a guy who, if you give him a chance, can score goals. He's been on loan and played for some big clubs: Everton, Preston, Leicester, Stoke. He's been about a bit. He's played football. He's not a 21-year-old who hasn't played a lot of men's football. So, yeah, I absolutely think that he is a guy that could give us an issue if we don't, if we've got to stop him getting opportunities. In terms of how Cardiff line up, that's the interesting thing, isn't it? So first and foremost, for those not familiar with the way we do the previews, we do the opposition first, key men, areas, etc. And then what we also do is we don't do the lineup that I don't give you the lineup that I would do. I try and guess what Omar Risa's lineup will be. So it's more of a predicted lineup. So this isn't the lineup which I would go with. If people want me to tell them that afterwards, I'm more than happy to go, because it's kind of changed from yesterday. This is what I think Omar Rhys will do tomorrow. So first and foremost, I don't think he changes the keeper. And I think that's probably the right call. I think Halverth looked really shaky at the start of the season. So I don't think like one-off game for Alnwick is a reason to drop him. That's what Errol Bullitt was looking to do, was get Alnwick out as quick as possible. Alnwick has been captain. He had one ropey game. Let's not overreact with that. I think left back. I think O'Dowda will play left back because I think El Ghazi will come back in. So I think O'Dowda will start left back, and then I think Darland comes in for one of the central defenders. I don't think he'll drop both of them, although I think there's a conversation to be had that you could drop Chambers, Gutas and NG, but I think he'll drop one of them. I'm going to go with Chambers. I don't think he's looked quite as secure since he came back from his injury, so I think he'll go with Gutas and Darland as his centre-back pairing, and then Perry NG will be the right-back. I think Rinamoto will drop out, and he'll bring in Siopis for that extra bit of energy, with Robertson retaining his place. I think El Ghazi will come in on the left-hand side. It looks like Tanner is still out, So I believe you most likely Ruben will keep his place, and then it's whether he goes with Matty or does he bring in, Willock on the other side. I would say there might even be a slim chance that he moves Robinson out to the right, or Ruben out to the right, and Robinson into the 10, and he goes with Reindorf up front. I think it's unlikely. I think it's more likely that we see Willock and El Ghazi in the wide areas, Colwell in the 10, and then Robinson up front. But I wouldn't be shocked if Reindorf got his start tomorrow, because we've looked so fragile in the attacking areas. And I actually think normally for a young player like that, I would say an away game is probably not the best game to give him his first start. But I actually think this might be a game for him to start, because he'll run the channels, he'll press, and he'll really, he'll really put them under pressure, and he'll hopefully cause some problems. In terms of Willock, if you'd asked me a month or two ago, I'd have probably, I'd have had Willock in there. I'd have even maybe contemplated playing El Ghazi or Willock in the 10 and putting Ruben on the bench. But I've been really disappointed with Willock. I thought he was really poor off the bench again. So he hasn't pushed for a place. I wouldn't be against Kean Ashford playing. I just don't think that the manager will do that. So that's what I think the manager will do. Like I said, if people want to know what I would do, then I can do that at the end. In terms of the key man for Cardiff from that 11, I think the most important person will be out of possession, particularly, but I think it'll be Siopis. If Siopis just sits, just focuses on being a defensive midfielder, he releases everyone. Because Perry NG will push up alongside the midfield. O'Dowda will get up and overlap El Ghazi. So you need Siopis to just marshal that area side to side in front of the back four. Let Robertson be back box to box. Colwell drop into pockets and try and get in down the sides of Stoke. They're going to play with 2 banks of 4 out of possession. So you've got to be moving the ball quickly. If we move the ball at the speed that we moved it on Wednesday, we're in big trouble. Big trouble. Because they'll just have 2 banks of 4 and then the 2 sort of forwards, and they'll just sit in when we've got the ball. As I said, if it was me, I would go with pace up front to try and hit him on the break and hit him in the transition. Because what Siopis does give you is he does win the ball in the middle of the park. So if you can win the ball around the halfway line and move it fast, get it to Robertson, get it to Colwell, and then have the likes of Reindorf, El Ghazi dropping in, or a Kean Ashford running in behind and stretching the pitch, I think that's where we could get at them. It'll be interesting to see if Atete gets on the bench. I saw he's had another knock, I believe, but he's also been linked with a move to Huddersfield. We'll talk about that at the end. Someone asked a question about that. But I think Siopis will be vital for Cardiff tomorrow. If he has a good game, I think Cardiff will, as a team, will have a good performance, because the biggest criticism of him is that, he gives the ball away a lot. I think that's actually been better recently, and better under Omar Riza. If he focuses on just being that guy who sits in front of the back four, he's really good at it. He's really energetic. He's aggressive. Just keep the passing simple, and he can do the rest. Let the others progress the ball. Let the others, be the adventurous, the creative players. We've got creative players. We've got players who can really pass a football really well. Even behind him in Darland and, Perry NG and Bagan, they're all capable of passing. Robertson can play through the lines. We need pace. We need a striker to run the channels as well. And that's what I want to see from Callum Robinson. I don't want to see him coming short all the time. It just congests it, especially when you have El Ghazi there, because El Ghazi likes to cut in to allow O'Dowd to overlap. Ruben's dropping in, particularly in that sort of right-hand side pocket. So for me, that's why I probably start Rindorf because he'll try and run him behind and he'll press. But Robinson is capable of doing that. He just needs to be told, stay on the last man, run in behind, get in those pockets, get in the channels, stretch the pitch, make Stoke turn around and face their own goal. And I do think, we could go and put a good performance in and win. Stoke had not been playing well. But it's really, really going to be fascinating what Omar Riza does. It's a big, big call for him because he, it was poor Wednesday without a doubt. And there's people calling for the 23s. There's people calling for X, Y, and Z to be dropped. For me, if I'm Will Fish and Jesper Darland, I'm like asking the question, like, what else has to go on before we get a start? And as I said yesterday, Will Fish can play right back. Personally, I would do something at right back. I would change the system, or I'd play wing backs, but I'd be changing it up a big, because my message to that squad would be that on Wednesday, what you turned out was unacceptable in nearly every metric. So 3 of the back 4 would have been dropped. The right winger, the striker, probably dropped. Maybe Ruben would retain his place. Maybe, because I would be interested to see what Ruben could do with like Ashford on the right, El Ghazi on the left, and Rindorf up front. I'd be genuinely interested in what that would produce, having people getting in behind and staying high and wide. Tanner's out for a few weeks, which is a blow. Hopefully he's back for that really big Christmas period. Excuse me, sorry. So obviously the previews slightly shorter shows. I know I started a bit late, so we're not quite done yet. We've got another sort of 8 to 10 minutes. But I want to go to some of the questions which I asked you to drop in at the start. That's what we say. Alex says, if we lose, do you reckon Tan out? Mate, I'm Tan out anyway. I've been for however many years, 13, 14 years, whatever it is. Like, he can't go quick enough for my liking, because I think he could be a great owner. He could be. But unfortunately, he, for whatever reason, and there's, probably from his point of view, there probably is reasons, he hasn't got the people in place at the football club to set us up to succeed. And until that happens, that could happen tomorrow, by the way. He could put a director of football operations, a technical director, a director of football, analysts, and add a couple of coaches, and all of a sudden we could have a day-to-day football structure that can take us forward. I don't think it's going to happen, but I also don't think he's going to sell up anytime soon. He won't like the publicity that the protests get on the day of the South Wales derby. He's going to be on Sky, and I know there's media going to the protests and stuff from around the world. He won't like that attention, but ultimately he won't sell up until the Nantes case is settled. It's just a fact. He's owed too much money to walk away from that. Jonathan said about the Fab statement. I will have a look at that in just a second. There was another question somewhere. Paul said, a Tete starter or on the bench? I wouldn't start him, mate. But then, I mean, technically, if he's fit, he probably should get a start ahead of Rindorf as the more senior striker. I know he's played for the 23s or 21s recently. I'm so stuck in between with Tete, because I believe that he has the raw technical ability is there. You don't come through the academy at Tottenham with no ability. You don't score goals like he scored last year against Blackburn. Like, they were the highest of quality goals, those goals. You don't score goals like that if you've got no ability. But mentally and physically, I think he's got a long way to go. And I felt like he should have gone on loan to a League One club this year where he could play week in, week out and, go and get some goals and stuff. Whether that will happen in January now, I doubt, because, well, 2 reasons. One, he got injured at the start of the season, which probably stopped any loan happening. But 2, we got no strikers, we're not scoring goals. Kanga's completely out of the picture. I can't see us releasing him for a loan. I think we would sell him though. Alex said, I'd rather have bullet ball than what we saw on Wednesday. Wow. I mean, it was very similar, mate, in fairness, just moving the ball side to side very slowly. Dan Lowe says, personally, I think dropping the senior lads would be an easy way out for them. They need to stand up and be counted. We have countless internationals and former Premier League players, enough to beat Stoke. 100%, mate. On paper and on reputation, on previous form, we have more than enough to beat Stoke. But what I saw on Wednesday was too many players not playing for the badge and not playing for a manager who they've asked for. And there was too many of them who didn't stand up and be counted. I think it would be a mistake to stick with the same 11, but I wouldn't be surprised if he does. But I also, whilst I get what you're saying, and I actually agree to a certain extent, there's certain players in there, like, you know, I'm not going and having a go at Perry NG again, but like, because he's got no competition and because he knows he's going to play every minute of every game, I think subconsciously he's kind of switched off and he's making silly mistakes positionally. He's forgetting about the man behind him. He's getting caught upfield. All these things that I think you wouldn't have seen from him 18 months ago come from being comfortable. And he's comfortable because he plays every minute of every game, no matter how badly or how good he performs. And I think that's an issue for anybody. I think there's been a similar issue in that side with Ruben at certain points. Players subconsciously get a bit comfortable. Paul says, Atete is wanted by Huddersfield. Would you cash in? I would actually, and some people won't like this. I know Rhys, for instance, on the channel, really not a fan of Atete. I'd actually like to see him go on loan because I feel that there is something there, but I think he needs to go away and, like I said, play regular football, score some goals, and mentally be ready for the physical battle, like, you know, and pick him to stay on his feet a bit more, be stronger. And I think you get that from playing in the like League One, League Two, week in, week out, get battered about a bit, you know. Vincent says, give Chris Willock a start. Yeah, I'd have agreed with you, mate, previously. I just haven't. I've been really disappointed. Like, I was quite excited by his signing. He's versatile. He can play wide. He can play 10. He can play through the middle. You know, technically a very good player. I just feel like we haven't seen the best version of him. Now, is that because he's more suited to playing as a number 10 rather than wide? Possibly. But he hasn't done anything when he has been given the opportunity. You know, he had a good few starts at the start of the season, didn't really do a lot with it. He's come off the bench and didn't really do a lot with it. And then the last couple of times he's played, I thought he's been quite poor. I wouldn't be gutted if he started, though, mate, because I do think he's one that can almost be, you know, due a start. Holden says, what happened to Ashford? So much hype last season on him. Opportunities, mate, didn't it? Opportunities. Last year, the second half of the season, he got a lot of opportunities and he was raw, you know, a bit lightweight maybe, but he was aggressive. He ran at people. He used his pace. He stayed wide, linked up well with Ruben, but he had the opportunities to play and he played well. So, yeah, that was difficult. Obviously, he dropped down to the 21s. I think whenever a player drops down to the 21s, people will question if it's an attitude problem, you know, similar to Tanner last year. Everything which I know about Kean and his family and the people he surrounds himself with is it wouldn't be an attitude thing. Like, he's a lovely, lovely kid who's proud to play for the club. And ultimately, the more players that we can get playing first team football who genuinely care about the club, who are proud to wear that badge and have dreamt of playing for that club, the better, because they won't put in half-hearted performances. They will give 100% no matter what. Jonathan says, Vincent Tan's too stubborn to improve and it only has people on the board that will blow smoke up his ass and help him thinking he's done nothing wrong. So, people will not like this, by the way. But on that couldn't be further from the truth in terms of there's people on that board who have told him time and time again, he needs a director of football, needs an experienced manager, experienced coaches, all these different things. But he makes the decisions, they don't. So it doesn't matter what they say. For whatever reason, he makes the decisions. Well, not forever. For whatever reason, he's not listening to what they're recommending. And then it's his decision. However, I won't stick up for them because it's a shambles from top to bottom. It's not just Vincent Tan, but Vincent Tan is the one who makes those decisions. Vincent Tan is the reason we don't have a director of football. Vincent Tan is the reason why we don't have someone running the day-to-day football operations. And Vincent Tan is the reason why we currently are not giving Omar Riza and the other coaches any further coaches to support them till the end of the season. That's not on anyone but Vincent Tan. Alex says, to do transfers, Omar just can't. Do you have to go through Tan to get to do? Well, the board don't have any decision-making, privileges. So if they want to sign a player, it has to be negotiated, blah, blah, blah. The board will negotiate it maybe with the agent, but it has to be signed off by Vincent Tan. Has to be. Every time, without fail. No exclusions. Holton says, Reno, Gutas, Darland, O'Dowda as a back four, Siopis, Robertson, Robinson as a number 10 or left wing, Gael Ghazi as the other left wing or number 10, Colwell, Reindorf. Yeah, I don't mind that team, mate. I quite like that. Pretty similar to what I was going to have. Alex says, I'm going to the protest. We're going full out. Not like last season. We're going full out. Hope so, mate. I know that the response to the protests and stuff has been very big from fans, because fans have had enough ultimately. And what I did like is I saw a post or a comment from Anis, who's a big part of organising the protests, and I know like some people like him, some people don't. I've never had an issue with him. The one or two times I've spoken to him, got on all right. But I don't know him well. But what I will say is that I liked one of the comments I saw from him on Facebook today, where he said the protest is about reminding people why they are passionate about Cardiff City, reminding people why they love Cardiff City, and trying to get fans back into it. I think that's a great message. Yes, protest the board, the owner, all that, great. But anything which gets the fans reinvested and remembering why they love Cardiff City is a good thing for me. One of my biggest criticisms regarding the 125th anniversary celebrations by the clubs is I think it was a flipping easy tap-in to put a video out each week, 15, 20 minutes, telling a story of a player, a moment, a game, showing highlights of the game, the moment, whatever, speaking to the people involved, speaking to fans, intercutting it. Put it out on a Monday every week so people watch it throughout the week. Nostalgia, mate. It reminds you of why you used to, for the people who've stopped going, it reminds them why they used to go every Saturday and watch it, and then why they love Cardiff City. And nostalgia is what's going to bring them back. Remind them why they love it. But it's like everything, behind the times and half-assed, unfortunately. But there we go. Yeah. Vincent also says, a good striker needed. We have a good team. We need to up our game. Yeah, I agree, mate. I would like to see Reindorf get a start because I just think his energy rubs off on others. Levi says, we're in trouble. Could the club survive with the finances in League One? Could we be the next Bury FC? I said this last night, mate. I see some people saying, a season in League One wouldn't be too bad. It would be like the good old days. We go down, mate, we're in big trouble. Because if you think how much Vincent Tan chucks in each month now, but part of that is with the hope that we might make the playoffs or get to the Premier League or whatever. I don't see him doing it in League One. And you look at some of those teams in League One and how well, whether you got a Wrexham or someone like that who's run exceptionally well, rich owners, engaged with the fans, really bought into it. But they've also appointed experts in football to run the football side of things. Or you've got Birmingham, who've got owners who are just because there's no financial fair play regulations, no caps on wages and stuff. Like, they are just blowing cash. So I think it's going to be a real long-term issue if Cardiff go down. Paul says, seeing how quiet the two car salesmen are, I don't think Tan will listen to them, especially after Tan making the speech about putting Riza. It's all a shambles, mate. In terms of just finishing off the preview, my prediction for the game, I'm going to go with a Cardiff City win 2-1. No, I'm going to go with a Cardiff City win 1-0. I think we'll keep a clean sheet if he makes some changes. I think it's time we get Darland in there now and give him a run of games to get up to speed. I know he looked a bit shaky when he came back in, but he hadn't played for so long. Like, let's get him in there. Let's let him play, because one thing I like about him is, apart from being really good positionally and defensively and physically, is on the ball. He's really good. Really good. Sal, you've been on the beers. No, I don't drink, mate. So just can't speak. But we'll see. It'll be very interesting to see how the game goes. Hopefully it's more enjoyable to watch than Wednesday. I tend to think, right, if we just move the ball quicker, we have the players who can do some damage. I want to finish on this because I could not agree more. Paul says, crazy. Desperate times call for desperate measures. But how about giving Daniel Ola from the under-18s a run out? 6'4", banging in goals. What's there to lose? 20 minutes off the bench. Mate, I've been banging the drum for I don't know how long, saying that we have some of the most highly rated youngsters in the championship in our 23s and 18s. The video, which is out tomorrow for the Christmas countdown, I talk about someone who was given his debut at 17, thrown in at his previous club, did well, came to Cardiff, was literally not, he was not ready in any metric or form or whatever, statistically, wasn't ready. We chucked him in the first team for his debut, 24 hours after we signed him. It took him a couple of games to get going, and he went on to make over 200 appearances for the club. Young players, and other clubs do it, they give their young players a route to the first team. They give them a sink or swim. They'll give them starts. They'll give them time off the bench, and they'll give them the opportunities. What's the point in having this amazing academy with all these highly rated players if we don't give them the opportunity to play? Especially when you've got a right back who's performing poorly, you've got a striker and a goal problem, a creative problem, and you've got all these creative players in the 21s and the 18s. Let's get them on the bench and give them some game time. That's all I can say. I got you, Alex. Yeah, mate. I always going to predict a win, don't I? I'm blindly hopeful, you know. Guys, obviously it's slightly shorter for the preview. I appreciate you all as always. I am back tomorrow. I'm doing another post-game show tomorrow night with Matt. So I'm looking forward to that because I don't do them. And I did obviously the one on Wednesday. I haven't done a Saturday show for a long time. So I'm looking forward to it. Obviously with Christmas and stuff, we have to mix it up a bit because people got commitments and stuff like that. Please do check out number 11 in the Christmas countdown. It's going to be every day, most mornings. There might be the odd one in the evening because there's a couple which are going to be longer. And yeah, we'll be back for the post-game show tomorrow, and we'll be back for the breakdown then on Sunday, where we take a good old look at the game. Please do check out Terry's video from earlier, from the Christmas countdown. Please go back and check out my video, which I did with Paul Abandonato last Sunday. We answered loads of questions about the board and all that sort of stuff. You can see my reaction to Wednesday. Yeah, there's loads of content on there. Please do subscribe. Most of all, spread the word. We're going to have lots of things. The members are going to have a treat over Christmas. We're going to have a couple of retro watch-alongs with some special guests and stuff like that. Where the more members we get, the more we're going to do, more content for those people, because they're the ones who are keeping the lights on, and they're the, doing all that. I think tomorrow night we'll be going live at about 9:00. So yeah, there'll be plenty of things because I've got a few things to do after the game. So has Matt. So yeah, appreciate you all. Take care. Spread the word. Tell all your Cardiff City friends. to subscribe. Let's try and get up to that 1,000 subscriber mark. Be lovely to get there before the end of this year, although I don't know if that's realistic. But for me personally, and for the boys and everyone on the channel, if we could hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of this year, we've only been going about 10 months, and it's grown, real quick. Really proud to say. So thank you for the support, and we'll see you soon. Please do join, become a member. But I'll speak to you tomorrow in a